Welcome to the Wellness Author Show, where experts share their opinions on a variety of topics to help you balance your mind, body, and spirit. Catch the fever, the wellness fever, with your host, Don McCauley.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is your host, Don McCauley. Today we're welcoming to the program author Carla Ulbrich, and Carla is the author of How Can You Not Laugh at a Time Like This, which is a light and humorous way of dealing with life-threatening disease with humor and creativity. Carla is a comical and award-winning singer, songwriter, humorist, and author from Clemson, South Carolina, and she currently lives in New Jersey. In 2002, Carla fell very ill with kidney failure and a stroke. As part of her recovery, she wrote a bunch of humorous medical songs lampooning her frustrating experience with the U.S. healthcare system, resulting in the CD Sick Humor. In 2011, Carla released a book of humorous essays about those same medical adventures entitled How Can You Not Laugh at a Time Like This? Carla, how are you?
I am great. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Well, let's start with a big question. Tell us about this book, please.
This book is the book I wish I'd had 20 years ago when I got sick. I had no guidance as to anything to do other than to take these really toxic drugs that suppress your immune system. And I wanted more options. I had to go out and find them myself. It's also a book about finding hope and finding humor in a really dark time. A number of people have told me the kind of feedback that this is a book that gave them just what I was hoping it would. Hope, humor, new ideas about how to deal with illness in a creative way that allows them to reduce or even get off of the medications that are making them absolutely miserable.
So who did you write this book for?
I wrote it for me 20 years ago, and for anyone else who's going through the same thing, anybody who has a chronic illness or some kind of disease that they tell them is incurable and there's no hope, and also for the people who love them and are trying to support them. And also I've found that it appeals to people who are in the healthcare industry because they have a great sense of humor. They have to in order to survive.
Now, would you say that there's a central underlying message or theme in the book?
I would certainly say one of the underlying themes, other than humor and finding humor in the situation, is empowerment, taking back your power, whether it's the power to laugh again, which for me is where I started to feel empowered again, was when I was able to laugh at my situation, and also the power to feel better, to have control over your own health, to not just feel like a victim. A lot of us, when we get sick, that's what we see ourselves now, as being victimized. And we don't have to be a victim. We may not have complete control over everything that happens, but we have to take control over the part that we do. And that's what makes us feel empowered, and it can also make fantastic changes in how you feel and your health.
You talk about the importance of humor in healing. What if you can't be healed?
Well, that's where acceptance comes in, I suppose, and hopefully some humor, because you can't control everything, obviously. And I'm not cured. People ask me all the time if I'm cured. I'm well, but if I stop doing all the things that I do in order to stay well, I'll get sick again. I'm sure of that. That's my situation. I have to deal with each person's situation individually. But the important thing is, if you can't be cured, if you've done what you can do and you're still sick, to not view yourself as a failure, because that isn't the point. The point is not, can I cure myself, and if not, then I've failed and I don't deserve to live. That's not the point. I look at the Serenity Prayer as a great motto, and the Serenity Prayer is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I just don't want to get too hung up on accepting being sick unless it's absolutely necessary. I want the courage to change the things I can, even if the only thing I can change is my ability to laugh and my ability to love. Then, in that way, I am healed, regardless of how I am physically. If I'm able to do that on the inside, I'm healthier than a lot of people who aren't sick.
So why did you choose to write this book as a collection of short essays?
I wrote it that way for people who have short attention spans, which is most people who are ill because they're on medications and it's hard to concentrate. It also makes a great bathroom reader. And I like the fact that you can pick it up in the middle of it and you're not lost. You can pick it up, put it down, read one little chapter in the middle of it, go back to the beginning of it, read a chapter, jump to the end, read a chapter. You don't have to worry about spoilers. There are just a bunch of individual thoughts on specific topics, and it all ties together, but it's in a way that you can just take little bites of it You don't have to have the whole giant meal.
Now, you talk about your frustration with the U.S. healthcare system as a patient. What are your concerns today, and do you feel that the patient's voice is heard in today's healthcare debates?
I don't feel that the patient's voice is heard in debates. I often don't feel like it's heard in the doctor's office either. It's unfortunate that money is drowning out what's really important. It's messing up the priorities. It makes it impossible for doctors to take good care of patients, because if they spend more than 8 minutes with a patient, they're losing money. That's crazy. How can you diagnose someone in 8 minutes? It takes that long for the person to get comfortable with you and even start talking about their problems. I don't feel like the patient's voice is heard in the doctor's office or outside of the doctor's office because, unfortunately, the people with the money, the pharmaceutical companies, the insurance companies, are the ones who have a lot to say about what happens with the laws and how things are run. I'm not even sure the doctors' voices are heard, to be honest with you.
So what do you think the answer might be to that situation?
I think it comes back to taking our health in our own hands. For the doctors, for those who are able to do it, taking the practice into their own hands. Some of the doctors have gone to cash only. They don't take insurance, and that way they can spend all their time with the patients. They don't even have a staff. It's just them and their patients. And when they do that, they're able to spend as much time as they want to with the patients. They don't have to deal with 1,700 insurance companies, which is crazy because all the forms are different. I don't think any doctor went to school and said, I want to spend my life shuffling paper. They wanted to help people, and all of this paperwork is getting in the way. It would be great if we could have universal health care, but it's a problem in this country because we're killing ourselves with our lifestyle. The enormous stress, sitting in a chair all day at the office with sedentary jobs, and eating processed food, all of those things are killing us. So as long as we continue living like that, I don't think we can afford universal health care. It has to be two-pronged. We need to take care of people, and people also need to take care of themselves.
In 2002, you had a pair of strokes that left you unable to use your left hand for months. How did that make you feel? Were you scared you wouldn't recover?
I was very scared. First, actually, I didn't know what was going on. When the first one happened, I was one of those people who was abusing myself, just pushing myself, working all the time. I was a musician, doing gigs, driving 50,000 miles a year, sleeping on couches, obviously not getting very good quality sleep. And I was on the way to a gig, and I got kind of dizzy, and then all the strength left one of my hands. And I thought, that's strange. So, of course, what I did was I went to the gig and played it anyway. I've told my musician friends I've raised the bar for when it's okay to cancel a gig, because I did one after I had a stroke. I don't want to hear about a runny nose and a sore throat. It's actually a very wrong attitude. People should take better care of themselves. And it was crazy. I couldn't play the guitar. I was sitting there with one finger trying to figure out how to just mash down strings. I basically faked my way through everything and told a lot of jokes. So then I went to the doctor a couple days later. He told me I had a stroke, and I had woke up at one point and couldn't feel my foot. So that was the second one. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to play the guitar again. That was weirdly what concerned me more than anything. Maybe it's not so weird. Since age 4, that's what I've wanted to do, is play the guitar. But when I started to think, oh, what if I never play the guitar again, I just would push that thought out of my mind, because I learned from the ski slope that you should never look where you're afraid of ending up. You should look where you want to go. And when I was snow skiing, I'm not a very good skier, and I saw a snow machine at the bottom of the hill, and I thought, oh boy, I hope I don't fall in front of that. I hope I don't fall in front of that. I hope I don't fall in front of that. I hope I don't fall in front of that. And of course, I fell right in front of it and got plastered in snow and ice, turned into a big block of ice. So the lesson I learned that day was I should have been looking at the opening. I should have been looking at pretty much anywhere else in the ski slope except where I was afraid I would end up. And that was the image I kept in my mind after the stroke, was to just picture where I wanted to end up, which was back to playing the guitar completely normally. I had to go through a whole series of things, like putting corn pads on my fingers because I had nerve pain. It really hurt to play the guitar. And I finally wound up buying a ukulele because they're super easy to play. And that's how I rehabbed myself. I created my own little program by buying a cheap ukulele. And I'm playing again, playing just fine, as well as I ever did.
Now, you've performed some of your humorous songs in front of a lot of organizations, the Lupus Foundation, Medicaid. How do you make this funny?
Well, basically, I tell the truth and make it rhyme. And most importantly, I speak from my own experience. I never make fun of anything I haven't been through myself. I wouldn't make jokes about something I haven't been through, even if it's, being a different race or being a man. I try not to make fun of other people's problems and just stick to what I understand and what I've been through. It's always safer to make fun of yourself.
Now, most authors have one specific reason for writing a specific book. What was your reason for writing this book?
I felt like I had a lot to say about this topic, and I wanted to sit down and get it all together. I had been doing some speaking programs and about all the things I had tried and how I'd managed to get my health back. People were really, really surprised because I was so sick I almost died. They didn't think I would get better. People were really fearing for my life. And in my hometown where I was living at the time, when they watched me in the course of a year completely come back to life, they were amazed. I would do a speaking program, and then they'd come up to me afterwards and ask me for my advice, and I couldn't seem to cram everything in the course of an hour. I would get home and go, oh, shoot, I forgot to tell them this, I forgot to tell them that. So I thought, well, if I get it all in a book, I don't have to worry about trying to keep every single thing I've ever done to get my health back in my head so that I can do it all out in the course of 5 minutes when somebody asks me. So there it is, all in one place.
Other than selling your book, what do you hope to accomplish with it?
I'm actually hoping to get more opportunities to speak to people so that I can continue to let people know that there is hope. They don't have to limit themselves to just taking drugs and then dealing with the side effects and having to take more drugs to deal with the side effects, that they can get better. So I'm hoping to have more and more speaking opportunities so that I can help more people.
In your opinion, who should buy this book?
Anyone with a chronic illness, anyone who loves someone with a chronic illness, and people in healthcare, including alternative medicine, I think would all enjoy this book.
Well, time is getting very short, so the most important question, where can we buy this book?
This book is available in bookstores, also on all online outlets such as Amazon.com and also thesingingpatient.com.
And could you spell your last name for us, please?
U-L-B, like banana, R-I-C-H.
Well, this has been very enlightening. Our guest today has been Carla Ulbrich, and she is the author of How Can You Not Laugh at a Time Like This? Carla, thanks very much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This is Don McCauley wrapping up another edition of the Wellness Author Show. If you're an author or know an author, learn how you can help a publisher publish you by visiting helpapublisherpublishyou.com. Each week you receive a listing of publishers, small presses, and others who may be interested in publishing your work. This is a free service of the Author Show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit www.thewellnessauthor.com, fill out the form, and we may be contacting you shortly. And if you're an author, don't forget to visit Book Marketing, the Authors Marketing Powerhouse, at www.theauthorsmarketingpowerhouse.com. We look forward to seeing you here next time on the Wellness Author Show.
Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for another great book on the Wellness Author Show. To find out more about the show, visit thewellnessauthоrshow.com.